All right, we are back. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and as always, in the booth, Zach Lewis, our producer. Zach, what's going on, man?
Hi, new music, Zach. That's what's going on.
Hey, I was going to say that.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
thanks. Yeah, that is new music. That sounds like, is that AC/DC?
This is Rock the Young Four.
Rock the Young Four. They're good. They're actually playing this weekend in Dallas,
stuff.
I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
House of Blues.
Yeah, House of Blues.
Friday.
Underground.
One night only.
Yeah. Better get there. Nice. I do like this new music.
Yeah,
it sounds like AC/DC to me.
I got some fun tracks in here.
Yeah, well, it's been a minute since we were here. I think at least like 2 or 3 weeks since our last show. So glad to be back. We're going to have a great show today. We have a great guest. This is the Working Title Show. This show is all about the positive news and the great things that are going on here in DFW. We have the best economy in the nation. We have the best real estate market in the nation.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2019, and we're already off to a big start. So looking forward to this year and talking with some great guests about real estate and about our great market here in North Texas. And joining us today is Jeremiah Gore, the VP of Sales and Marketing for Integrity Group. Jeremiah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Zach. Absolutely.
So Jeremiah, we had one of your colleagues on not too long ago. Have you ever heard of Robert White?
Yeah, Robert. He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
He's a good. Shout out to Robert if he's listening.
Shout out to Robert.
We actually just talked to Robert. He wished he was here, but the show will go on without him. Yeah. So Jeremiah, tell me, I'm really excited about our conversation today. But just, real quick, tell us kind of what's your role at Integrity Group.
Yeah.
Do you do the same thing Robert does?
No. So we have a commercial side and we have a residential side. And so Robert focuses really on the commercial side and also chasing down some land deals for our residential team.
Sure.
I oversee our sales and marketing for the residential side of the company. We're a small company, so we kind of, everybody puts their hands in wherever they can at times to help out. But my primary focus on each day is driving our sales teams out in our neighborhoods.
Excellent. So, I mean, a small team maybe, but y'all got a lot of things going on. I was on your website earlier. It seems like y'all are pretty busy.
Yeah, it's a great time, right? I mean, DFW is a great market, right? And then to be on the home side, new home construction right now is booming, and we've got some excellent projects across the city. That obviously helps.
Absolutely. So, since it's it's not January, it's February, Zach. Can you believe it?
Is it February already?
It's crazy.
Wow.
It is crazy that it's already
Time
February.
flies when you're not landing in Amazon headquarters, right? How's that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
My one real estate joke. I'm not bitter about it.
Yeah.
It's all I've got in the hopper back here.
All right, we'll come back to a joke in a couple episodes going forward, maybe. Yeah, but DFW, it's crazy. But we're in 2019. We've heard some whispers about the real estate market's slowing down. It's tanking. All these national headlines that don't always tell the real story where you are locally. So what is I'm sure you have your finger on the pulse of the market. What is the Integrity Group think's going to happen in real estate in 2019? Are y'all optimistic?
Oh, hugely optimistic. I think if you look at the housing confidence, right, most of the builders, there was a dip in that fourth quarter, but you look at weather, you look at interest rates, and now the interest rates look like they're going to hold steady after dropping there in the fourth quarter at the end. The outlook is positive, and it's positive to every home building company that I talk with that's in the DFW market. We're all looking at it. It's going to be a fantastic year. Now that Super Bowl's done, the traffic picks up across the Metroplex. All the new home builders always talk about, let's just get through Super Bowl, and then the traffic comes back out, right? And so it's been already a pretty good start to the year with January, and now that the Super Bowl's over, the traffic picks back up. I mean, Texas weather, right? 70 degrees. I'm in flip-flops and shorts last night, right? And then today it's
a 40-degree drop.
Exactly. So, that will affect some weather for some guys, but the reality for us is the traffic's back up, and the market's still strong. You had some builders get overly aggressive in one sub-market of DFW, and the national reporters will pull data from that one sub-market.
Yeah.
They got a little overbuilt and maybe a little too aggressive in their specs. But
those will absorb, right?
They will, and those builders will learn some good lessons. But if you look at DFW as a whole, and you look at the number one job creator submarket in all of the U.S., being DFW.
Right.
Those people are going to buy a home somewhere.
Yeah, you have to live somewhere, right?
Exactly.
And they're still coming. So, Jeremiah, we were talking before we got started. So, you're over to the residential, you focus on the residential side, but y'all have a kind of a unique side to y'all's residential with your Ladera active adult living side of that. So is that Ladera Active Adult Living Company? How do y'all exactly pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, so Ladera is our active adult brand.
Okay.
So we kind of brand those neighborhoods with that title, and we've got a couple of projects right now that are open for sale and halfway built out in Highland Village and in Mansfield. Both of those being Ladera brand, and then we have multiple projects somewhere, various stages of development as well.
So. Active adult. So I grew up in Argyle, right? And so we all remember in Argyle when Robeson Ranch came. And I think that was the first time I really had heard of the active adult living community. I guess that was probably one of the first in DFW. I'm not for sure, but it seems like it is. So is that a rocking product for y'all? I mean, are they selling like crazy like every other home is?
Yeah, Robeson and in Frisco Lakes, right? Both of those were always kind of that destination. And that was back when Frisco Lakes was out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
And so both of those would draw people to them. And those guys do a great job, right? They were pioneers really in the DFW market for active adult.
Sure.
Our company sees it a little bit different. We try to go where people already are, and so we do smaller communities, and that way you have the opportunity to know everybody in your neighborhood. And it's just 30 seconds from the gate to your house, rather than living in kind of a sub city.
Robeson probably takes a while to go from one side to the other.
It could take a little while, right?
Yeah.
And what we found, though, is people don't necessarily want to change their church. They don't want to change their doctor. And so majority of our buyers are within 5 miles of our communities.
I never thought about that destination thing like you said about Robeson, but I mean, if you don't know the Metroplex very well, Argyle is kind of out there. At least when Robeson was first being built, it was way out there. It's kind of caught up. So, but yeah, that makes sense. You had to leave probably where you were prior and go to Robeson to get into a community like that. And you're saying y'all are building, maybe down the street from where you're living right now.
Oh, absolutely. We've got both neighborhoods are examples of one or two people finding out about our development, and then their church group or their Sunday school class, and they end up now buying from us as well because they all want to do life together. And so they have the opportunity to do that and still go to that same church and still go to that,
not interrupt their life a whole lot.
Correct.
That's interesting. Well, we got to take a quick break, but when we get back, I want to hear more about, what's really driving the active adult living and more about some of y'all's communities.
Yeah.
We will be right back. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams. Man, I really like this. This is good. This is good.
You like this one. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you call this?
Nevermore One.
Nevermore One.
Yeah.
Who are these people? Like,
geniuses.
Anyway, I love it. So, hey, this is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams. We are back. Zach Lewis, our awesome producer in the booth over there, has a lot of great new tunes. So
Zach on the ones and twos.
I'm really excited about these as we go into these next segments and hearing what you're going to have on the third one. So. Awesome, man. So we are back. He stayed with us. Jeremiah Gore, he's the VP of Sales and Marketing for Integrity Group. And Jeremiah, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. It's a fun conversation.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right back into it because I think this is a cool subject, the active adult living. It's not necessarily new anymore, but I think it's kind of more in the mainstream now, right? Like people have heard of active adult living communities, I would think. Or am I wrong? Are people still kind of like, what is this?
Yeah, no, they've heard about it. You know, the one of the things we always have to overcome is they think active adult, and then immediately they think retirement home.
Right.
And they think this
like,
is
I'm just one step away.
One step away, right? And I don't have a walker. I don't have that yet. I'm not ready for that yet.
Right.
And so that's the one part that we frequently we hear that epiphany go off when they're in the neighborhood, and sometimes it doesn't happen for some of them until after they've lived there and realized that this is just a stage of life. It's nothing really to do with that you're settling down to the point where you got nothing to do. It's just you're now in a neighborhood with other people ready to do life together. And, I'd say one example of that is, we've got a neighborhood where 68 of those people are going to be going on a cruise together this year, right?
That's incredible.
So, I mean, can you think of a neighborhood? I can't, where you and your neighbors, I don't even know 6 or 8 of my neighbors, let alone 68.
Yeah, I can't even get 68 people to come get a free drink that I'm buying.
Right.
Yeah, so how does this happen?
So, yeah, it's incredible, right? And it's just, but it's because they're all at the same stage of life.
Right, they find
that's the
commonality.
Difference. Absolutely.
Right. So, so are there like aha moments for some of these people, or they're like, hey, wait, this is good. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think so. I think one, they'll come in, and whether it's us, obviously I'm biased, and I think we do the best at it.
Sure.
But whether it's us or someone else, they're going to come out and they're going to see that there's amenities, and those amenities, every master plan community in DFW for the last 15, 20 years has been putting amenities in.
Right.
But mostly it's a checkbox. Yeah, we've got that.
We have to have it.
Right.
It's like the offices, right? So we were when we were leasing office space, every building we went into, they had to have a gym and had to have this.
Right.
I don't know.
Because that's what
I can tell you how many
right?
times I went to the gym in either of those offices,
That's
but
what
we
you
had
do.
to have it.
Right. You want to work out with your coworkers, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what you want. So you want to see them in that state, right? So yeah,
I don't.
Right. And so we for us, amenities are not just a checkbox, right? We sit down and we go through them, and one of those is pickleball. Now, I've been in home building for 15 years. Up until 2 years ago, I had no idea what pickleball was. Never heard of it. Right?
Yeah, I didn't know until just a few months ago.
And so I was thinking you get this pickle. So it was, and then the overwhelming participation of people in the neighborhoods, whether they're ours or someone else's, of playing that new sport, right? And it's just, I didn't know what pickleball was. It's basically like miniature tennis,
right?
Or gigantic ping pong.
What do you play it? Do you play it on like a court or
so there's a
concrete?
Court. So it's a court. You think from a distance you think it's a tennis court until you get up close and you realize it's just shrunken down.
Okay.
And so you still have to be active enough to move around to play it, but you're not running all over a court chasing down, a tennis ball going 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And so pickleball is one of those things that we put in every one of our neighborhoods. And
so y'all are looking for amenities that people are actually going to use,
yes.
not just check the box.
Correct.
Right.
And we see that, if we see that they don't get used, then we try to either repurpose that or we just learn from the lessons, right? And continue to adapt and continue to put in either what somebody wants and or what we see the trends are going. Mm-hmm. But everything's got a purpose behind it. And so, you may have an activity center or clubhouse in a neighborhood you lived in before.
Right.
And
you never went there.
I built many, right?
Yeah.
And they're just dust collectors, right? They're just a reason why your HOA dues are high. Ours are the hub of the neighborhood because whether it's wine tastings on Monday nights or it's where the potlucks are being hosted, it's where the Super Bowl party's being held, bunco games, poker games. There's a morning coffee at one of our neighborhoods where it's just guys, and all they're doing is complaining about the weather.
So is there a clubhouse in the neighborhood that a lot of these activities happen in where they congregate?
Absolutely. Okay. And so we'll put one of those, and most every active adult builder will put one of those in every neighborhood because it does become the hub of the neighborhood.
Sure.
Because most of these buyers have downsized their home. And so, their home, they might have moved from 5,000 square feet, and now they're living in 2,000 square feet.
Right. They don't have the room to
or they
entertain or
right.
Yeah.
And so they, we had a couple. I love them to death. They hosted kind of like a wine night at their house, and it was like 5:30. Bring your own wine.
Sure.
It outgrew their house so quickly that they just moved it up to the clubhouse, and it's just come and go, and you're just hanging out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's fun to see that take hold in a neighborhood, and every neighborhood has its own little personality, and every neighborhood gets its own identity. But there are some threads that go through every one of those neighborhoods, and it's all a sense of belonging, and it's all a sense of community. That the neighborhood I live in, we don't have that, right? And so to see that in those neighborhoods is what makes it fun for us as the developer.
Right, and you want to see your neighborhoods thriving, and so that's exciting. So outside of people thinking like, they're one step away from the nursing home, their misconception about what active adult living is.
Right.
And we talked about this. It's a lifestyle. It's not like just a word. Right?
Correct. Yeah, we always say that we don't just sell you a house. The reality is we're selling you a lifestyle, because this is completely different than what you're moving from.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Interesting. So tell us about like, what are the houses like? I mean, are they very cookie cutter? Do they get a lot of leeway in how they choose the home? Not the amenities home, but the floor plans and things like that. How does all that work?
Yeah. So the bigger guys are more cookie cutter, and they just have to be because of their volume. We believe in personalization,
Sure.
And so our neighborhoods, we have floor plans. I mean, we are still a production builder, right? And to keep the cost down as low as we can, we try to gain those efficiencies. But every one of our floor plans has expanded master closets, or we do doggy showers in some of our plans now.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. It's 4 feet off the ground, so you're not bending over into a bathtub to wash your dog, and so those are options for a buyer to have.
So
that
they
makes
have some
their life easier.
upgrades and things they can pick out.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then they can go to a design center and they can pick any color tile, any wood, all of that stuff. They work with a professional designer to help them do those things. There are some builders in the marketplace that it is, do you want one or two, right? Do you want the brown house or the gray house? And
Right.
and that works for some people, because
Sure.
again, it's less about the home and it's more about the lifestyle, and it's more about if you're doing this right, you're in that house a little bit,
Right.
but you're out in the neighborhood. You'll take what you think is going to be a 15-minute walk, and that turns into a 3-hour walk because you've had
Because you're talking
10
to everybody.
conversations, right?
Right.
And so it's a different way of living, and our residents love it. There's multiple articles out there about the state of loneliness, and not just because of social media and what's going on in our world today with kind of this isolation, right?
Sure.
But it impacts the senior community more, because it's double fold. They're used to growing up in neighborhoods where they knew everybody, and there were block parties, and there were those things, and so there was a death in the family. There was 15 casseroles showing up at the doorstep.
Sure.
That kind of goes away, right? In neighborhoods that you and I live in, that just doesn't happen really.
Where you have like 1,000 homes in a neighborhood.
Right, you have 1,000
like
homes, and maybe one or two, and even then they're not bringing you a casserole. And if they did, you probably wouldn't eat it, right?
Everybody pulls in their garage and shuts the door before they get out of the car.
Yeah. Here, our builders are constantly on diets because they're getting fed cookies and fudge and brownies and cakes, and that's just it just goes on in the neighborhood.
That's funny. That's good. So how do y'all decide where y'all are going to put these neighborhoods? Is that a challenge for y'all, or do you just go where the people want to be? Or we were kind of talking about this on the other side. You said, the Robesons of the world are a destination, but y'all can build one of y'all's neighborhoods next to another neighborhood that's not necessarily an adult or an active adult community. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So the biggest challenge for most every home builder, regardless of whatever their target is right now, is land, because land prices have pushed. The ability to get land, ability to get it through a city, the entitlement process is overwhelming at times.
Sure.
With what cities require, they want you there until you start trying to put your community there, and then they give you 10,000 reasons why they don't want you there anymore. But we and so every builder faces that, and so ours is as challenging, just because it's got this this title to it. What is it? What is that?
Right.
The nice part is we bring taxes to a city, but we don't put additional pressures on their park systems because our residents typically enjoy the parks within our own neighborhoods.
Right.
So they're not using the softball fields, right? And so they don't put pressure on the community. They don't put pressure on the school district. So it's a great addition for a city, and it allows their residents to age in place.
And it grows their tax base, right?
Absolutely, because they're still going out to eat because their disposable income's good.
Yeah.
So they're going out to eat. They're going to the grocery store. They're doing all of those things that help a city, but they're not necessarily having to use all of the services. And they make excellent volunteers in every city too, right? So
no kidding, volunteer patrol.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but it's the tough part. So for us, we see master plans though as a growth opportunity, just because most of our buyers come within 5 miles.
Right.
But now with master plans, you have all these families moving into that master plan community. We're a great addition to that because now mom and dad, who they want to live near the grandkids, right? So grandma and granddad, now they can, and they can do so in an active
in their own community.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Very cool. We got to take a quick break, and when we get back, I want to hear about the neighborhoods y'all have on the ground right now and how we can get people over there to take a look at them.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we will be right back. Yeah, I like this. This is like Primus, right? Is this Primus?
This is the most like dude bro gym track workout song I've ever heard in my life. And I
Yeah,
love
it makes me want to go to my office gym I haven't been to.
Makes me want to play golf. That's what it makes me want to do. Yeah, get out on the green.
Well, who is it?
Action Packed 4.
Action Packed 4. Good grief. Man,
Watch out.
These people need help with their band names. All
Vicious.
right. That was good, Zach. Very nice. Zach Lewis with all new music, and we can't wait to hear what you got next week.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, we are back. Jeremiah Gore has stayed on for another segment. Thanks for staying.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
You got it. Jeremiah is the VP of Sales and Marketing for Integrity Group. On the residential side, we've been talking about the active adult living communities that y'all are putting up out there in the Metroplex.
Yeah, all over the place, right?
Yeah, so let's narrow down where some of these communities are. So you mentioned earlier in the show y'all have one in Highland Village,
Correct.
and one in Mansfield right now, and so those are y'all are actively selling homes there.
Correct. Yeah, those have been selling for a while. We've got probably 40 to 50 home sites in both of those neighborhoods still available.
Yeah.
So we will sell those out by the end of this year.
Sure. What's the how many homes total in those neighborhoods?
So Highland Village is 102 homes total,
Okay.
and then Mansfield is 180.
So what size? Just curious, what size lots do the active adult communities like to see?
So it's most of the time it's about a 50-foot wide by, depends on the builder and depends on the options available to them. But it's about a 50-foot wide lot.
Yeah.
And then most of us are doing zero lot line
Sure.
to give some privacy in the side courtyards and really maximize that usability of the side yard as part of the overall space.
Right.
Our neighborhoods are you don't worry about the outside. We call it lock and leave. Like we have one resident that lives in the neighborhood 6 months of the year, and then they live in Idaho the other 6 months of the year. And so when they leave, they lock the door outside of somebody coming over and checking their mail or checking the plants.
Right.
They don't really need anybody to check in on their house because the association will maintain all of the grounds, right?
Okay.
So irrigation, the water.
So you don't need to own lawn equipment in your communities.
Yeah, it's a waste of your time because there's somebody coming to mow your grass every week and there's somebody coming to pull the weeds every week, so you don't have to do that.
No kidding.
Right.
Not bad.
Not too bad, right? And so
Yeah.
you can lock the door and leave for 6 months. I mean, they do it and they're not the first ones and they won't be the last ones either.
Absolutely. That's cool. So I wish somebody would come mow my yard.
Yeah, do they take millennials in these places? Because I'm all about that. I don't have to do anything.
That's a good question.
Right.
We did talk about that. So, so if Zach, who doesn't have kids, wanted to move to one of your communities, could he?
Right. So so there's two different ones, right? There's age targeted in the neighborhood in DFW for active adult. You have age targeted, you have age restricted. All of our communities are age restricted. So what that means is you've got 55 is really the minimum age to move in.
Right.
Federal law, right? You always like when the feds get involved with regulations.
They're so helpful.
They're very, very helpful.
Yeah.
So they've been involved, and now there's different iterations, but basically 10 to 20% of your neighborhood could be less than 55.
Right.
But where the restriction still comes into place is there is a restriction on children less than 21 being permanent residents of that neighborhood.
Right.
That restriction is still what we make sure is in all of our documents to protect kind of really the integrity of the community and of what it's intended to be. And what it is intended to be is everyone in similar life stage.
Yeah, no diapers, no keg parties.
No tricycles out in the middle of the street, right? Right. None of that, right? Really, nobody's toilet papering any trees, right? That doesn't really happen in our neighborhoods. So,
if Zach lived there, it would for sure.
Right. So so we might find a reason not to let Zach in for other reasons.
Right. So people aren't trying to get into these neighborhoods that are under 55. It's not a fit for them. It's not a fit for the current residents.
Correct. Right. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that's 45 and they had kids young.
Yeah.
And they're ready to move on with life the same way that other people are.
Okay.
We see it a lot with our retired soldiers, right?
Sure.
So somebody that served in the armed forces, they lived life a little faster than some of us, and so they might have had kids younger, and they've kind of retired earlier.
Retired younger, sure.
And so we have a great couple, at least a couple of them down in Mansfield, retired, both served in the armed forces, and but they're still 50 or 52.
Right. But the kids are grown.
But their kids are grown. They're out of the house, and they're at that same life stage.
Yeah, they fit the mold, right?
Yep.
And so you have another one in Mansfield, and then you told me you had two more coming on. So where are those two?
Yeah, so we have two neighborhoods right now. So we're kind of building our interest list right now, and we'll open. So one is in Rockwall, and that is near. For those that are in Rockwall, it's near John King and Highway 66. And that one is probably we'll start selling there in the next probably 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
But our VIP list is growing right there, and so the fastest way to know more about that process is to get on that list.
Okay.
And then same for Tavolo Park. It's a 30 days, 60 days behind Rockwall in terms of timeline.
Right.
Tavolo Park is in South Fort Worth along the Chisholm Trail Parkway.
Okay, sure. Great area.
And that's one of the first ones where we are joining in with a master plan builder. And so it'll be the first time that we have a subsection of a master plan.
Interesting, because I had a question there. Is that something that people look at like it's a normal neighborhood, right?
Right.
But there's a piece of it. Is it gated in that situation?
Right.
So like, okay.
So and then all the amenities we would have in a standalone community, we would still offer in that one. The benefit for those residents is they then still have the big clubhouse. They still have the big pool. So when the grandkids
they got the best
come,
of both worlds.
Correct. So they have their own private area for their neighborhood, but then they also still have the expanded amenities that Tavolo Park will offer.
It's like at a resort. You can go to the kid pool, but then you got the adult pool, that they can't come to.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Very nice. So how many homes will be in those communities?
Rockwall will be about 125 home sites, and then in Tavolo Park will be close to that 180 number again.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So if people want to find out more information about these communities or Ladera, where do y'all direct them to? So
LaderaTexas.com.
Okay.
It will both of those have a ability for them to put interest in whichever community that they're interested in. And then our team will be able to reach out to them, give them up-to-date information, make sure that they're part of kind of the process to be able to learn more about what we do, how we do it, why we do it.
Sure.
And then as we get more details and as we get further down the timeline to opening those neighborhoods for sale, they'll be a part of that process to know what's the next step.
Very interesting. And so LaderaTexas.com, and Ladera is Ladera.
Correct.
Texas.com.
Correct.
Very nice. Very nice. So Well, Jeremiah, I can't thank you enough for coming on and telling us about your communities. You're going to have to come back on later on and give us an update of Rockwall and Tavolo Park, and I would assume y'all are probably looking at opening up other communities as well around the Metroplex.
Oh, absolutely. We got them all across town that are in various stages our land team's working on right now, and hopefully, next time we talk, we'll have more communities to tell you about. And I appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great show. Check out LaderaTexas.com for more information on Ladera's active adult living communities. And this has been the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the podcast and listening today. I want to give a special thanks to Kensington Vanguard National Title of Texas. The show is sponsored by them, and Kensington Vanguard is a national title company with local people working here in Dallas-Fort Worth, specializing in commercial title insurance and residential title insurance. Kensington Vanguard will handle your escrow needs as well as your title insurance and your closing services. So you can go to the website at www.kv-lonestar.com to find our locations and our contact information. And we appreciate you using Kensington Vanguard National Title of Texas. We look forward to seeing you next week, where we will be talking about solar energy in the residential and commercial spaces. And we are really excited to hear about that. Something I wanted to know about, so I'm really excited to hear more about how that works. So we'll catch you next time on Working Title with Zach Sams. Thank you.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.